Hello, this is Adrienne with AdrienneKnits.com, and today I'm going to teach you how to do the tubular cast on. As you can see, this is a very nice looking cast on, and it kind of gives the appearance of machine knitted works. I use it for all my products, all my projects recently that involve the 1x1 ribbing at the beginning, and it's relatively simple. So let's get started. What you're going to need is a length of waste yarn, preferably a very different color than the color of yarn you're using for your project. And you want to cast on using the long tail cast on, and you want to cast on half the amount of stitches that your pattern calls for plus 1. So if my pattern called for 19 stitches, I would divide that in half and round up, which would give me 10. So I'm going to cast on 10 stitches right now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then I'm going to take my regular yarn, my real yarn, and I'm going to just tie it around the ends here of my waste yarn, kind of give a little security. Right like that, and eventually you'll undo this little knot here and pull it out, and eventually you'll cut out the waste yarn so that you have something that looks lovely like this. So we're going to start out pretty simply, and the first stitch we're going to do is a knit. So you're going to knit your first stitch, and then from here on out what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over. Make sure your yarn's in the front. That'll make it easier for you in the future. And then you're going to knit. Yarn over, knit. Yarn over, knit. Yarn over, knit. Yarn over, knit. This will be your first row, row number 1. And row number 1 is different than all the other rows. So in this one we yarn over and we knit, and one more and we knit. And there's our row 1. And as you can see, we've just doubled all of our stitches. We started out with 10 and now we have 19. So you're going to turn your work now, and now this is where we get into the tubular cast on. If you take a look at these little bumps right here, we're going to call these purl bumps, and you're going to want to keep an eye out for these because they're going to tell you what you need to do to that stitch. So anytime you see a purl bump like this, you are going to want to hold the yarn in front, and you're going to want to slip purlwise with the yarn in front. So I'm going to slip that first stitch, and then here's the yarn over that I just made, and I'm going to knit this. So we are going to slip purlwise that little purl bump stitch, and then I'm going to knit the yarn over and slip and knit, 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 slip and knit. This is really the basis of a basic stitch that you need to know for the tubular cast on. Is you slip purlwise with the yarn in front, and then you knit. So we've just done our row 2. We're going to turn our work and do the exact same thing. So now you can see we have our little purl bumps here, our little blue purl bumps this time. And it looks like our first stitch is a regular stitch. So this one we're going to knit, and then we have a purl bump, so we're going to slip it purlwise with the yarn in front, knit, slip, knit, slip, knit, slip, knit, slip, knit, and slip. And in essence what we're doing here is the tubular cast on is basically double knitting, which you are pretty much just creating kind of a tube. Well, that's why it's called a tubular cast on. And if you continue this, essentially you'd get a piece of work that's hollow on the inside. You can turn that into a purse or or just a cool cast on like you're doing now. And so I'd recommend doing this knitting and slipping with the yarn in front about 1 or 2 rows, maybe 3 or 4, depending on how much you want to do it. Definitely do it at least 3 times, I'd suggest. And after you've done it a few times, then you can go to straight ribbing. You can, so if I wanted to, I could start by purling this next one, purl knit ribbing, and you can do the whole thing with the knits and the slips if you want, but it will take twice as long because of all the slipping you're doing. So I switched to the purl knit about the 5th row so I can get into my quicker stitches to get going on my project. And after you're done, preferably after you're done with your whole project, and after you've blocked it, then I'd recommend taking the waste yarn out. It is a nice job of keeping your stitches down here nice and tidy while you're knitting your piece. And when you're done, you can just cut it out, and you'll have this beautiful tubular cast on right here. Pretty easy, if I say so myself. And this has been Adrienne Knits with AdrienneKnits.com.